Hi, Gene here with today's thought. Today we're going to be talking about election 2024, the upcoming presidential election. I'm seeing a kind of a dichotomy here, and I'm going to explain it. And I see, let's go first to a chart here. I just want to put this up. These are the most recent 11 polls, and as you can see, Biden is leading the most recent one, and he's tied in the one before that. And if you look at the average, the very top row, you can see that Trump is ahead in the average of these 11 polls only by a single point. So you would think that Democrats, that there would at least be a little bit of optimism that they would start to be feeling better about the election, because the margin in Trump's favor was much wider. To about 2.5, 2.3, so you call that wider or not. Definitely wider than 1 point. And then the betting averages also, Biden's chances against Trump are improving. So again, you would think that the Democrats would be feeling at least a little better. But, you do see a couple of articles that note this and say, the tables are turning and Trump looks like he's heading for a loss, whatever. But I kind of get a whistling past the graveyard feeling. And I'm going to put up another chart here, and this could tell you why. So here's the chart, and you can see Trump making gains with Biden coalition. Now, this would be the coalition of people who you have to understand about the Democratic Party. It's really a conglomeration, a cobbling together of these various, transgender people and gay people and Hispanic people and black people and feminists, and they try to put them all, they take all the Republican Party is very much now the party of the mainstream, the average guy. A good example would be the United Auto Workers, where you have the leadership of the auto workers has endorsed Biden, but the rank and file have made it clear that they support Trump. If Trump is smart, he'll hold a rally in Michigan with United, with union members, auto worker union members. The point is that there you have this coalition of all these disparate groups, and the Democrats need them to win, and they're starting to worry because, as you can see in this chart, 28% of black voters support Trump against Biden. That's 7 times of support just in 2020, the 2020 election, now this next election, and the support for Trump has increased by 7-fold. And then significant support among voters under 30, and now it looks like 51% of the young voters are supporting Trump. That is amazing. That is really earth-shaking. And I can see why Democrats would be concerned if they see that, despite what the polls that I just showed you and the poll average that I just showed you. And finally, near record support among Hispanics, 48%, and which is another incredible amount, and then suburban women, 43%. Now, I want to talk about that point about the young voters in that chart I just showed you, which is that they are so worried about Hispanics too, and it was in passing, so I don't know the name of the Democratic organization or who it was or how many there were, but some Democratic organizations, they have these voter drives where they go out to, they set up tables and they get money from Mark Zuckerberg, for instance, from Democrats, to go out and register voters to, get out the vote, but they only want to get out, which is clear now from what I'm going to tell you in a minute. They only want to get out the Democrat vote. They're not talking about getting more Americans to participate in democracy. They want the Democrat vote. So they'll say set up near colleges with our young people. They'll set up in, black areas, black majority areas to get black voters, and Hispanic areas to get Hispanic voters, and I would presume shopping malls in suburban areas to get suburban women, to focus on Democrat votes. Okay, now the problem that they're having is that they cannot rely on those votes anymore. So the directive has gone. In other words, if they have a drive now to recruit young voters, the problem that they face is that they will be registering Republicans as much as they're registering Democrats, or at least enough. They'll be registering enough inadvertently or accidentally registering enough Republicans to sway the election. You have to remember, well, actually in 2020, a difference of only 40,000 votes in different, a few key areas of the country would have given the election to Trump. He would have been declared the winner. So they are very worried about that. Same thing with Hispanics, that if they go out and they have a registration drive and they register Hispanics, they can't be sure that they're not registering a lot of Republicans at the same time. And I would assume the same thing would be with suburban women. Not enough to, in none of those cases would there be a majority, but there would be enough that they don't want to take the chance. All right, they all about registering, so we all participate in democracy, but they only want Democrats, and they're very worried, that they don't want to take the chance that as they register Democrats that they may be registering Republicans at the same time. So at least one group, and it's a high up group in the Democratic Party. I mean, it's not some fringe group, and they're urging these voter registration drives to focus solely on black people to register. I was going to say black voters, but they're not voters yet if they have to, if the drive is to register them. Potential black voters only in black areas, because even then they might be getting registering some Republicans now, black Republicans, because of the numbers that I just gave you in that chart I showed earlier. But they want to focus on that. They figure that's where their best chances are to get the highest ratio of Democratic voters to Republican voters. And we'll see what happens going forward, but you can see they're kind of worried. And I can tell you, if we get close to the election, and actually today, I didn't put it up, but Real Clear Politics, where I got those poll numbers that I showed you earlier, that if the election were held today, that Trump would win handily. If you take away if you just go by the polls in all these swing states, all the states where the polls are now, and they could change, but if the election were held today, according to the polls, and polls could be wrong, but according to these polls, Trump would win 312 electoral votes. That is a landslide. That's not quite Ronald Reagan, who won in his re-election campaign. The second term, he won every state except for Minnesota, and this would be very close to that. 312 electoral votes. That is a real landslide. But the election is not yet. But you can see why even though the polls are closer, they are worried. They are worried. The Democrats are worried, and I guess that will be my thought for today. Thanks for stopping by. As always, I welcome your comments, provided they're respectful. Don't have to agree with me, but be respectful of not just me, but your fellow commenters below the video. And if you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share the video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.